Hey, this is Ryan. You're listening to the Royal Rant.
This is Tim.
Hi, Tim. I thought we'd get together and do that thing that we normally do about this time of year when we say goodbye to the LA Kings until,
See, see you in October.
now, it's happened 4 times in a row now. It's always a bummer. What do you think about this one? Is this the worst one of the other ones?
Yeah, I'd say this is the worst one.
What?
Because this is the best team Kings had on the ice, I think, over the last 4 years, and I mean, they should have had this. I mean, they could have swept the Oilers. I guess that the worst is because it's all self-inflicted stuff.
All right, self-inflicted stuff. So tell me, what did you think was self-inflicted about this series?
Deciding not to play in third periods, just back off. Constantly icing the puck instead of trying to skate it out of your own zone. And giving these guys a face-off in your own zone for the last 5 minutes of every game. Let's see.
Of
Horrible
course,
coaching.
the caveat to that is what happened the one time that somebody tried to skate it out of the zone.
Well, that's true too, right? Well, another self-inflicted.
I still like, I've seen that over and I still can't see the moment where that puck just ends up on Bouchard's stick, but it's just
Yeah,
all a blur. Byfield has it. I think it's coming out, and all of a sudden it's just not out.
yeah. It's. I think he tried to chip it over him or something, and it just ends up on his stick. I don't know.
Yeah, so the sitting back in the third, I mean, is that you think that just came from the coaches?
I think it came from the coaches. Yeah, I mean, especially in game one. And that's the other funny thing too. People have such a short memory, Everyone just, oh yeah, the Kings were up 2-0. It's like, no, they almost lost game one. If it wasn't for Deneau, it'd be a whole different series. Um,
Mm-hmm.
People tend to forget about that, but that looked like a strategic thing, like a coaching decision. But it's also, I think, part of the problem where the Kings just play safe and they play kind of scared at times. I think they try to play too safe, and you can't do that in the playoffs. But I definitely think it was a strategic thing that the Pillar, had them do. And
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's what it looked like for sure in game one. Game two is a totally different game, right? Their, best game by far. But I mean, it just looked like in game three and four as well. They just backed off again in the third. And I think, that's the other thing too. People are just, a lot of Kings fans are like, oh, Oilers, like, we're never going to beat the Oilers. But the way the Kings played, right? They wouldn't have beaten anybody. Nobody. You're going to back off against any team. You're going to do that to St. Louis. You're going to do that to Minnesota, Vegas, Winnipeg, Colorado Stars, just not play in the third and just, just have them in your own zone the whole time. You're not going to beat anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think sometimes we give the Oilers too much credit.
Mm-hmm.
It's true they have McDavid and Draisaitl and they're generational players, but as a whole, that team's not that great.
They're not. But you know what?
They haven't won a cup.
No,
I don't think they will,
I
even
don't
though
think
they
so either.
title and McDavid. I think they're gonna lose to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
I
I think
agree.
I thought that in the previous years or last year, and they got by them. They don't look
Well,
the same. I mean,
you know what though? It's like people always talk about the Oilers don't have any depth, which you're like, yeah, they don't. But then those guys step up in the playoffs. Like they do.
I know that's what's frustrating about this one because they didn't. For the most part, it wasn't just McDavid. It wasn't McDavid and Draisaitl just killing them.
Mm,
And they had good series, but it wasn't like last year. But yeah,
yeah.
guys named like Connor Brown and Matthias
Vic
Janmark.
Brown, Janmark,
These
Kane
guys,
wasn't Kane who hasn't played hockey all year long, and he was a factor. Perry steps up. That's the other thing too. It's like a lot of people like to rag on Corey Perry, and I'm certainly not a fan. You won't hear me say, a lot of good things about him. But I mean, there's a reason why this dude, the last like 5 or 6 seasons,
did
finds
you know
himself.
57 years old? That blew my mind. I looked that up today. Corey Perry is 57 years old.
I didn't know that. That's pretty amazing.
Because
But
everybody's going on and on about Ovechkin, but Corey Perry is turning 50. I think he's turning 57 in August.
I wouldn't thought he was a day over 52, but shows what I know.
Incredible.
But you know what I mean? It's like, but there's a reason why he finds himself on these contending teams, over the last like 5 or 6 years. Is because during the playoffs, he knows what to do. He
Hmm.
knows how to, sell calls. He knows how to,
Go to
get
the
dirty in
net.
front of the net, just parked out in there. He knows how to rile people up. He gets under people's skin and he can finish sometimes because he
Hmm.
was at one time a very talented hockey player, So I don't know. I wish we had, see, I almost shouldn't say this, but I wish we had more of that like on the Kings for sure.
No, I agree. I think another thing that's a bummer about this particular,
Total choke job.
I think when you squander that many third period leads and you're up 2-0, that's a choke job. And then you
Yeah,
lose
for
4.
sure.
It's kind of like getting swept.
Hmm.
And, when you think about the regular season, think about all the good teams they beat.
Yeah.
They beat the Jets, they beat the Capitals, they beat Carolina. They took the season series from the Oilers and Vegas. And I'm forgetting a few others. They had trouble with Colorado and Dallas,
Yeah.
but they had some really good wins against teams that are still playing now.
Yeah. And best home record in the league, best record, halfway through the season or the second half of the season, best record. They just, that whole build for this thing is total bullshit. Not in the playoffs, they're not. I mean, really, it's when the intensity heats up, like they shrink.
Yeah.
For sure. They can do it for 2 periods, but not a whole 60 minutes.
No, I
And
agree. They can't. There's
I think
there's a lack of killer instinct with
they
this
have,
guy.
okay. Yeah, so
And you can't really teach that or
no, and
coach.
we no, and we talked about that last podcast, right? Like the killer instinct. And I think that's just like, I think Kopitar, as great as a player he's been for the Kings and how awesome he still is, I think he had 67 points this season. He is not a good captain. They haven't won anything during his captaincy. They haven't won a playoff series and they just, I think his sort of like safety first, timid, he doesn't play physical at all. Like that's what I was thinking. Like Fiala was out there like that one shift and he was just taking runs at everybody. I was like, man, when's the last time I seen Kopitar finish a check on somebody? Like dude, like it's probably 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I just like, when it comes to, during you can have a great regular season, but man, when it's playoff time, like, that's what I think too. It's like all the massive hits you see in these other series. Like Shifley didn't play tonight, right? Because he just got destroyed by Shen, And it's like, people forget when Dustin Brown destroyed Sundin and how it totally changed that series? There's
Yeah,
still value in that stuff.
yeah, that's true. This series was really, really tame in terms of.
When you watch the other series, you're like, wow, yeah, this is like playoff hockey. And this series was definitely exciting, but in a just sort of north south, like kind of who's gonna blow this, not like someone's getting run through the boards or tension's gonna be high or and even anything that was like physical, the Kings didn't respond to, you know.
Well,
Not
our
that
old
there was blood
Steve
in it.
Yarbrough, he cross-checked Gavrikov in the throat, and nothing really happened.
Yeah, and didn't he also collide with Kemper? Was it him?
Yeah, it
He
was.
got the
Yeah,
interference?
was it? Yeah, it was kind of like a knee-on-knee hit.
Yeah,
Or no,
so
Arvidsson kind of ran Kemper, and then
yeah,
I
didn't
think.
he get a goal of interference for that?
Yeah, I think Kane kind of did a knee-on-knee hit on Kempe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same old, same old.
Yeah.
Killer instinct. They were equipped. Kemper, was a Vezina trophy finalist. It's the best goaltending they've had since.
Since Prime Quick.
Yeah, really. And they just couldn't get it done. And so now you're just kind of like, what? What's the plan now? It's like, this idea that and we talked about last time, like, this little handshake deal that you're going to sign Gavrikov. I mean, I don't believe that.
I don't believe it
I don't
either.
really have any insider information to go on. I just feel like in the nature of the game, it's like if the Rangers or somebody just
Which I heard they're going after him.
with that guy, is he not going to take the money? I mean,
he seems to be
don't most
happy.
guys take the money?
Yeah, exactly. He seems to be happy there in LA and like his family, You know, his wife and kids are at the games a lot. But I mean, as the Rangers make him a good offer, living in New York's not going to be bad either. You know, I'm sure they'll have fun there too. Right? You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, to me, that just seems like magical thinking. And obviously,
Yeah.
maybe they have something in place that no one really knows about.
Hmm.
And because, he was good in that series and he was good in the regular season. I think Hiller just ground those guys into dust by making them play so many minutes. And this is the thing too. During the regular season, there was that period where, that he was scratching Clark and also scratching Pence. Then it seemed like, they solidified their place and it was working, right? And then to go into the playoffs and just decide like, I don't, based on, I don't know what, like, I don't know if it was based on something that you saw on the ice, but just all of a sudden looking, thinking, since hasn't been on the ice forever. It hasn't been on the ice forever. And then you look at the numbers, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. No,
And you're like, okay, so Doughty's old. He's coming off an injury. Why are you making him play so much?
I don't know. It was,
Wow.
it's, I kind of, Hiller, I've been a fan of Hiller, but some of the things he's done, during the regular season, the brain scratchers, just like we were talking about. And I remember, and we brought it up on the podcast too. Do you remember when Clark took like one penalty against Edmonton and he just benched him the rest of the game? And I remember thinking like, is he that scared of the Oilers and their power play that he's going to bench a young defenseman who's offensively gifted, and just bench him the rest of the game?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did Clark not score 2 goals in this series?
Yeah. And he almost
Are there
scored.
any other defensemen that scored 2 goals on the Kings?
No. And he almost
And
had three, Last night he almost had two.
and so I'm just like,
I guess Hiller forgot how good he was in game two. I mean,
and
it,
this seems to be, I mean, it even goes back to Sutter in a way that this just like nightmarish fear of just giving young players some rope, giving them some, to play, make some mistakes and grow.
that's why you don't scratch him during the regular season. You let him learn then. Don't bench him for taking a penalty. It just, I didn't see that. I didn't see coming, but he would take this, like, because the last, what, 3 or 4, maybe like the last month, he was rolling 4 lines, right? And he wasn't,
I was gonna say
yeah.
there was that time period where Janelle was healthy, Turcotte was out there with Lanius. That line was cooking, man, and that made me think, oh man, this could be a new wrinkle when they play the Oilers because that line they hit, they can draw penalties, they can cause problems,
Mhm.
and in the small amount of ice time they had in the series, they did all those things. It would have been better, and even Malat,
Yeah, he's a good player.
he made some things happen on that line. And Hellenius, you know, he hits everybody. And who else does that on the Kings?
Nobody.
I mean, Leferrier tries to be physical and finish checks, but to just completely decide that you're just gonna not even use that line at all. That I don't know. That was a mistake, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It was a huge mistake. And I think it's not just like not playing the fourth line or not giving Clark very much time or Spence or scratching Spence, or scratching Turcotte, like unless he's hurt or, maybe he knows
Mhm.
something we don't know. But how about like just not playing Kuzmenko for like a period? Are you fucking kidding me? Why? You
Yeah,
know?
I mean that was I don't know if he mentioned that. I don't even know really what the answer was of why that happened, but that was just because then at some point Trevor Lewis was on that top line in his spot, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is happening? What are you thinking gonna achieve with Trevor Lewis up there?
No, it's just crazy. I don't know what he was thinking, honestly. I mean, thinking that this guy's won 2 Stanley Cups. I was like, yeah, but that was over a decade ago, and he was a fourth line dude, and that wasn't his role to, you know what I mean? I mean, I like Trevor Lewis, but he shouldn't be out there over Turcotte. Ridiculous. Or he damn sure shouldn't be on the top line with Kuzmenko if Kuzmenko's healthy. Like, or he shouldn't be on the top line, period, even if he's not healthy. Like, it just,
Of course.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Hiller just like totally, I mean, he just got rattled and he just seemed scared. And I didn't
Yeah, I
see
mean
it
it comes off as just kind of like not rising to the moment and just kind of panicking.
for sure.
And not having, what about the assistant coaches or what how come nobody was like, hey, let's get a hold of ourselves and let's play with what got us here.
You'd think someone would say something like that.
You know,
I don't know. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, I don't know how you feel, but I think Killer should be gone. I mean, he was great in the regular season, and a lot of things he did with this team is good. But I mean, like, would you? Okay, this is the other point I wanted. It's like, so say you are, on the Kings, and he's just not playing a line, or he's only playing two defensive pairs. Are you just like, well, you don't believe in this team? You obviously don't believe in the team you have. So, like, what kind of? I don't know. If I was in the locker room, I'd just be like, well, does this dude think we can't win? I don't, that's how I would feel. So what? So and then like in game
like,
five,
go ahead.
like in game five, I mean, they just seemed exhausted, and of course the player, Kopitar said that wasn't a factor and everything, but I mean, he's not going to say, oh yeah, we're fucking exhausted from playing an extra period. But I think mentally too, they already knew, like, dude, coach doesn't believe in us. Like, we're tired as fuck. We blew this, we're up 2-0. Now it's 2-2. Like, we're done, son.
Mm-hmm.
And they just didn't show up at all. So I don't know. I think Hiller's got to go. Brown, I mean, that dude, that's amazing. He had his job for as long as he did. DJ Smith, I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, it seemed like, the Kings' defense was pretty good, regular season until the playoffs. I mean, I think Doughty was really bad this series, like really bad. And that's another question I have too. It's like, so if we, next season they come back, Kopitar's still captain, he's still first line center, he's still playing a shit ton of minutes. If Doughty's still out there playing 30 minutes a night, it's just like, dude, do you guys not learn anything?
But I think it's very possible that that's exactly what's going to happen.
And I think so too, because it doesn't seem, because it's been going on for too long, and I know a lot of Kings fans are pissed, so maybe it might make a difference. This loss is different. like we were talking about, like, it hurts the most, but I mean, people are finally like, okay, like, don't you guys want to be successful? Like, I don't know. Are you going to make changes?
I think there's just going to be like an alternate reality press conference in the next couple of days. And the things that we're going to hear coming from people are just going to seem ridiculous.
See, and
kind of like the last time. We're like, we felt that we were right there.
Yeah, we were right there. Yeah, no.
We get smoked in 5 games and weren't in that series at any moment last time.
I was thinking about that last night too.
We were right there.
I was thinking about that last night too. Like, okay, a year from now, right? The Kings are headed to the first round of the playoffs against whoever, maybe not even the Oilers. But if it's the same thing, if Kopitar's still out there, first line center captain, if Doughty's still playing 30 minutes a night, like, are you even going to tune in? Like, I'm just like, I've seen this before several times. I know it's going to happen. Like, it could be the Knights, it could be the Oilers, it could be whoever. Like, I've seen this, and it sucks because we all remember when Quick was losing it. I remember how much it sucked when Brown was losing it. But, and Brown did the right decision. He was like, yeah, I don't have it anymore. And somebody needs, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It sucks with Kopitar, right? Because he's still producing. But
he got nominated for the Lady Byng Trophy.
That's the exact opposite of who I want my captain of my hockey team to be. I want it to be a guy who's like, just plays on the fringes. Everybody hates, but it's you know what? I hate Matthew Tkachuk, but I wish he was the captain of the LA Kings. I fucking hate the guy, but he's talented.
I think every team in the league would want him to be, because he's just fiery and he brings it in the playoffs, and absolutely, man. I wouldn't want him.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want a guy who wins the Lady Byng year after year or is nominated for it. No way. That's what I was thinking about too. Like, who has, like, we were talking about, killer instinct and grit. Like, what's the softest team in the playoffs right now?
Kings.
Yeah, it's been that way for a while, People, I think, the Kings are hard to play against, and I think in the regular season, yeah, but not in the playoffs.
I don't know about the Leafs. I didn't watch them too much.
That's true. I never watched the Leafs.
They got it. They got through it. They were trying to choke Ottawa, but they finished it off. Speaking of choking, the Blues forced a Game 7.
I saw that,
and I saw that the Jets, they're now like 0-3 when they have a Game 6 where they can close out a series. Not good.
See,
that's the thing. I mean, it's not you don't take solace in it, but it's true that there are other playoff teams that have similar issues to the Kings. I mean, the Jets, they're probably going to lose that game 7 at home. And people are
Yeah.
going it's that they're going to be devastated because
No, it
Hellebuck,
sucks.
he doesn't rise up to the moment in the playoffs for whatever reason.
I guess that's the difference between like the Kings and Winnipeg is that Hellebuck's so good during the regular season, but just disappears in the postseason because they have such a loaded team, right? And I think they don't believe in him come postseason either. So,
Possible because I mean, it's this has happened on several occasions.
yeah, I know.
The Kings all time in the playoffs, their winning percentage is .396.
Not
So
great.
it's like I think they played in 53 series. They've won 21 series going back to 1967, 68. So obviously that's sort of the bottom half. Now Vancouver, they have the same exact playoff winning percentage, and the Flames are actually below them. They're like 375. Seems kind of surprising, right?
Yeah, because they were, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were pretty solid.
So there are other teams now that get bounced in the first round, and we're going to have either the Avs or the Stars. Somebody's going to be golfing.
Which is
after
just
tomorrow.
dumb, too. Which is just like, man.
But it's not the same because it's not like you can, yeah, well, look, if the Avs lose, the Kings are just where the Avs are. It's like, no, they're not.
No.
The Avs are just loaded with studs. The Stars are loaded with studs. The Central is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing. So you can't just be like, well, and that's probably what we'll hear, like, well, we made the playoffs 4 years in a row. It's like, well, so I think since they've gone to, the format now where every series is a 7-gamer, I think the longest streak the Kings have of making the playoffs is 5 years in a row. But, those are the 2 years they won the Cup and went to the Western Conference Final,
Mm-hmm.
So you can't compare this to that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole nother thing. This is like they've either been slightly favored to win or they've been total underdogs to the Oilers. But except for this time, I mean, I guess when they were up 3-2 in that 1-year series and they had a chance to close it down, I know it ended up going 7. I guess that was technically the best. But this team was probably better than that one.
Yeah.
Overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if they just roll this back, some people want to blow it up. Some people think, no, just incrementally add and get better. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, add what?
Well, I don't know. Who do you bring in? Are you going to finally put Kopitar on the second or third line and have Byfield be the 1C all the time?
They absolutely should. If they don't.
Are you going to see if, I mean, they should have done it at the trade deadline. Are you going to see if you can get somebody interested in Doughty?
Yeah, that's going to be a...
They act like that's the most preposterous thing in the world, but I have to retort, why is it? I mean, he probably had more value a couple of years ago. Somebody, and you would have had to retain some salary.
Yeah, they're going to have to because he makes, I think, $11 million a year.
Probably he doesn't have that value anymore. But there was a time like a playoff team that was maybe thin on the back line might have been like, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, I don't think he could either. And I think, it's not just like, he missed a lot of hockey. He's older. We've talked about it forever. Like someday his legs are going to go. Like he plays so many minutes, but just his decision making, last night too, it's just bad. So he was a liability, last night. So I don't know. I mean, they should have maybe tried to move him before. They probably still could, but he has like a no trade clause and but I mean, I wonder, but if they're like, okay, you're gonna be playing like 12 minutes a night now. I wonder if they'll be like, okay, well, I'll try to find a place where I could play more than that.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's frustrating for those dudes. They're competitors, they probably don't see how diminished they are compared to when they were winning cups and stuff.
There was a shit. It was when the Kings their last power play, and Kopitar he could have either got it down low or he could have taken a shot on net, but he passes it back to the blue line and it leads to like a 2-on-1 the other way. And I was just like, that's him, man. Like he could have shot that puck. And I'm just like,
exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, what is he doing right there?
Yeah. And I was just like, he does he not realize this is like do or die? I blew my mind. But then him trying to skate back, he looked so tired and slow. And I'm just like, nah, man, it's time to pack it in, dude.
Mhm.
It sucks, you know, but I think getting away from like, oh, we won 2 cups with these dudes and they're our boys, which they are. I mean, but having them like still be a big part of the team is stupid, you know? Those days are gone.
Yeah, I think this franchise just gets, and it's a double-edged sword. It's cool to show loyalty, and it's cool to like revere your players, but it just puts blinders on,
It does.
and you don't make the tough decisions,
Yeah.
right?
I think, no, you're absolutely right.
And you just want to be like, well, I want them to play here forever, and then we'll put their jersey up in the rafters. Like, that's cool and everything, but it doesn't really scream out like we're dedicated to winning.
No.
It's more like we're dedicated to feel good vibes,
Mhm.
and part of that's cool. I like Dowdy. I've always liked him,
Me too.
but if if they can't win with him, they have to do something. And then that's what's frustrating, because you're applying, like you're trying to apply, like, you're wishing that 2025 Dowdy is 2014 Dowdy, and he's
Mhm.
not. But
I
that's the
know.
thing. To think like 2025 Kopi is 2012 Kopi, and they're not this, and they just keep rolling it back. It's turning into like a nostalgia act.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, they have it, everyone there in the organization has just like the benefit of the doubt and much more leeway. Leeway is not the right word. But, you know, I mean, Blake should have been fired, like, he should have been gone like years ago. Like signing Cal Peterson, he should have been done with. But it seems like people just get like, there's more tolerance for that kind of thing because I don't know why. It is cool, like you said, to be loyal to people and players, but you know, it doesn't bring championships. And I think that's part of it too, is like, well, the fans love these guys. Like we have to keep them around. And it's true, it's like we do, but I mean, we want the team to win. We don't want them to get embarrassed all the goddamn time. You know,
Well,
when the playoffs
I think
comes
the
around.
narrative that's created now, it's just like the Kings are a joke in a way, in the sense
Mhm.
that people call them frauds. That was
Mhm.
floating a couple of years ago too,
Yeah,
fake good.
fake good. Yeah.
And it's hard to like, to take an issue with that when you see what happens. It is kind of been like fake good. I mean, it's true that when they ended up being sixth in the league. So, and then just to do what they do in the playoffs, it's just like, there's something's wrong there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna be interested to see what happens, and at the same time feel like, well, probably nothing will happen.
I feel the same way. It's like I'm
And
looking.
whenever they make a statement, it's probably just gonna be like, well, it's probably gonna be more like we were close again,
Mhm.
and people, that are hardcore Kings fans, just gonna roll their eyes, like, are you kidding me? Close
Yeah,
to what?
I know. I think you're right because you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I don't have any faith that they're going to do anything big or make changes. They're just going to stick to what they have
And
been doing.
also kind of like to this idea of just like throwing away a playoff spot every year. It's like, you're not guaranteed of making the playoffs. It's hard to make the playoffs,
Mm,
and you have to try to take advantage, right?
yeah.
I don't know. There just seems to be so much complacency and like, well, we made it, right? Or even when Hiller was interim and took over for McClellan when he got fired, Rob Baker just told them basically like, just get us in the playoffs. And they did, and they lost, right? So now it's
Mm,
kind of like, well, Todd lost to the Oilers twice, and now Jim Hiller's lost to the Oilers twice.
mm,
So has it moved the needle? I mean, what's moved? I mean, Byfield scored he had his high in goals of 23 and stuff, and he has some highlight reel goals to his name already, and hopefully we'll continue to build on that and be better next year and stuff.
mm,
Instead of trying to turn Brant Clark and Joel Edmondson, why don't you just let him play his game? He's
mm,
got offensive upside. That's why you took him 8th overall.
mm.
He's not Robin Regier, right? Why don't you just let him? Why don't you figure out a way to have his skill level be impactful for the team instead of
Mm.
trying to stifle it all the time? This is kind of stuff that, and we've talked about this on here for a couple of years now, but it is maddening. And it's easy to kind of just talk about it after the fact. But we've been saying this before, and people
Yeah,
that follow the Kings and other podcasts, say the same things. None of this is like should be a surprise or a shock. I guess
no.
what's surprising is when we feel like that they've made enough improvement to actually beat the Oilers, and then we feel foolish
Oh yeah.
thinking, how did we think they were going to beat the Oilers this time?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
they finally had the depth scoring that they've been talking about forever, right? They had an awesome goalie. They do have a good group of defensemen, and it just went to shit. They
Yeah, I
weren't
mean,
utilized right.
and yeah, it's maddening because even at the end of the regular season, I think the Oilers only had like maybe 11 or 12 more goals than the Kings,
And that's with the
goal.
leading goal scorer in the league.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like a David and Goliath thing. It's just
Um,
like this is a winnable series. And yeah, you blew it.
that's the other thing that's kind of maddening too is like Draisaitl was coming off injury, McDavid was, Kane, who else?
Ekholm
Wasn't
didn't
Hyman?
play. Hyman was playing, but Ekholm didn't play at all.
But you think like, okay, if these guys are like nursing wounds, right? Like rub some salt into it, make it hard on them. Then none of that, just like
They
nothing.
changed goalies, mid-series.
Exactly. You got
They rolled Picard out there,
and
and
you
they
got owned for him
they
four
make
in a
him
row.
look like vintage Patrick Roy.
Mhm.
You're just like God. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing too. I'm real interested to see what happens in the next few weeks, but I have no faith anything good or anything meaningful, or it's just it will be more talk.
Now, who do
Be
you
more.
who do you think's gonna end up in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Jeez, man, I don't know. That's tough. I kind of feel like the Caps.
Carolina looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think like probably whoever wins that series in the East will come out on top, and then I know this kind of sounds like ridiculous, but I don't know. I kind of like the Blues' chances. They're just tough.
Yeah. No, they were playing. They were playing like the best hockey down the stretch there, beating
Yeah,
just every. Well, if they can finish off the Jets, I think. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna want to play those guys.
yeah,
Vegas, you can never really count them out because they're just winners.
yeah. They just win.
Mm.
They've been really impressive.
And Dallas, for whatever reason, they just don't seem to be able to get over the hump.
Mhm.
I guess we'll have to think about it as we get closer to it. I'm wondering if Toronto can make a real run, which seems crazy because they always choke. But the fact that they didn't blow it against the Sens
That's a good start.
makes me think, oh, maybe they're gonna kind of gear it up in this next round. But anyway, another disappointing end to the Kings season. We appreciate any Kings fans that have been listening and going through it with us.
Yes,
You
we
can always
do.
get in touch with us too. We're out there on X. There's a Royal Round Instagram. You can just do an old school email to royalrantpodcast@gmail.com. To whom it may concern, we'd like to know what you think about this season, the Kings playoff woes, what you'd like to see happen to get this team capable to actually win a playoff round.
Yeah, I'd like to know if people are like at the breaking point fans where they're gonna be like, no, I'm
I don't
good.
know. If you're a longtime Kings fan, you've built up some calluses on the
Yeah,
inside.
for sure.
Playoff heartbreak because there's been plenty to go around. Being a Kings fan, a longtime Kings fan, is not for Lady Bing finalists. You gotta be tough to
No,
roll with guys over the years because they'll mess with you. They'll have you cussing to yourself at 2 a.m. in
yeah,
bed,
you won't be able to.
grumbling about missed clearing attempts and offers on the power play.
Mm,
So we're gonna hang in there. We'll be back, and we're gonna keep riding with the Kings.
for sure.
Which is why, even though we're about to start a long off season, go Kings go.
Go Kings, go.